this is chapter 2 of Junk by Melvin, Burgess, but just so if you can see that on my head there, look, a little accident yesterday in which it was raining. That's my excuse anyway. And I was walking back and I was listening to music. You don't get a choice. I was like, oh, fuck that, I'm not listening to that shit. So I slammed my bag down against this wall, going, just wait here. The bend down. Oh, fucking, I can still feel that now. Fucking hell, man. There's like a point on a wall that's about as high as me, like little, like really old Victorian wall, like a little point. I managed to catch it. I'm lucky. I didn't need stitches. Didn't knock myself out. Or Jasmine called 911 because she watches too much YouTube and thinks that's our emergency services number. So anyway, chapter 2. I knew she would. I gave me favour. Why have you been gone in America? My parents are incompetent. They haven't got a clue. They think they think being a parent is like being an engineer or something. You do this, you do that, and this is the result you get at the other end. Someone ought to give parents lessons before they allow them to breed. That night in the garage, we never did anything. I mean, I wanted to sleep with him. It would have been a nice way to say goodbye, and poor Tar could have done with a nice goodbye, really. That's to say, if I'd done it before, it would have been a nice way to say goodbye, but I don't know if it was the first time as the right way for her to say goodbye. But I might have done it anyway. For me, for him. It wasn't for either of us. I didn't. I only didn't do it for my parents. I wanted to be able to say, look, this was my boyfriend. He was in some really nasty trouble. He was really upset. He was hurt. He'd been beat up by his dad for the 9th time. He was running away, and I spent the night with him because he needed some company. And I think he might be in love with me. But there was no sex. We never did that. It was just being close. Is that human or what? The only thing I regret is that I put my dad before Tar. I won't make that mistake twice. When I got home the next day, all hell broke loose. My dad was wagging up and down the room. There must be limits. There must be rules. My mum was sitting on the edge of the chair with no lips, trying not to cry. We all have to follow the rules, Gemma. When I forbid something, I expect you to obey me. I tried to smile at Mum, but she looked the other way. Then he came out with this real beauty. Listen to this. Her reputation is a girl's greatest asset. Stone Age. What about her GCSEs, I said. What about her ability to put her lipstick on properly? Mum tried to bring the conversation into the real world. Darling, you're too young, she began. She'll have to learn. What are we going to do, Gemma? Your father's right. There have to be rules. Surely you can see that. Where's David? My father said. That's Tar. I christened him Tar because he was always telling me off for smoking. You'll get tar in your lungs, he kept saying. Ring up his house and find out, I told my dad. I have. He's not come home, but his father's promised to give him what for when he does. I nearly said, he'll have a long wait then, but I bit my tongue. He already has, I told him. He beat him up again the night before last. Dad snorted. He got into another fight, you mean? Tar's dad, a teacher at one of the local high schools. You can see why the way my dad's brain works here. Teacher equals good. Bad relationship with Tar equals Tar's fault. He hits the bottle, I told him. Go round and see next time. You'll smell it. That's the sort of influence we young people have to look up to, I said. Don't try and be clever with me. Look, Tar was upset. He just needed someone to stay with him. But there was no sex. Honest. All right. There was a pause in which my dad looked at me. You could see how furious he was. As if me being responsible for some sort of threat to his authority. Then he said, liar. The whole room went cold. My mother was furious, I reckon. She glared at him. I mean, I don't know if she believed me, but she wanted to. I don't know what he believed. He just wanted to hurt me, I reckon. He did, but I didn't let him see that. I just said, I believe every word you say too, or something, and made for the door. Of course that wasn't good enough for him, and he dragged me back and started up again, but I'd had enough. I just lost it. Just drop down dead! I screamed and ran out of the room.